All right. I feel like God just wants to have a little conversation with us tonight, and I'm gonna try to sit in this chair. It probably won't last too long, but here we are. All right. So I have my suitcase here, right? So I don't know if y'all can identify with me. See how long I lasted in that chair? um, but so I just kind of got this a little bit, but this is how I've been traveling lately, like carry on, cause COVID, right? And need to keep it with me. And I've noticed though, like when I used to travel and I used to check my bag, like the most irritating moment for me would always be when I had to put my bag on the scale. It's like my heart starts beating really fast because I know I'm about to be 1 pound over 50 and I got to pay that extra money. And I'm literally, it's the worst thing. It's almost like I'm gonna go to jail for it or something because I'm sitting there like, oh, please just be under 50, under 50. And I'm always like, I'm the one who packs for a 2-day trip, and I gotta like sit on my suitcase and like do all of this. And I recognize, sometimes we do that in life, because the reality is all the stuff that I put in this bag. Y'all. Okay. All this stuff that I put in this bag, I usually don't wear it. It's like I just went to Chicago a couple weeks ago, and I had like mad clothes. I stayed in sweats for 3 days. And my bag was, and I also don't ever pack, like I'm not gonna go shopping and put more things in this little bag. I never leave space or room for more. Like I'm always packing for like what I think I need, what I think I wanna wear, or maybe what if this don't work out, then I need to add something else. I'm definitely putting 5 shoes in there. Like it starts with the pairs of shoes. And it's like I recognize that like I'm packing for a trip that I'm not really planned for because I knew what I was gonna do when I went to Chicago, and I knew that 2 days I was gonna be just in the house sitting. So did I really need all those clothes? No, not at all. And so it kind of made me think about how like we journey through life and we pack things and we take things along new journeys that we don't really need. And then we recognize that when it's time to make room for the new or for more, we don't really have capacity for it because we've taken things that we probably should have left where they were. And so it reminded me of one of my favorite stories that I want to share with you guys tonight. And it's about Elijah and Elisha. So it's the moment when Elisha is called by God essentially through his mentor, Elijah. And so it starts at 1 Kings 19. And it says, so Elijah went and found Elisha, son of Shaphat, plowing a field. There were 12 teams of oxen in the field, and Elisha was plowing with the 12th team. Elijah went over to him and threw his cloak across his shoulders and then walked away. Elisha left the oxen standing there, ran after Elijah and said to him, first, let me go and kiss my father and mother goodbye, and then I will go with you. Elijah replied, go on back, but think about what I have done to you. So Elisha returned to his oxen and slaughtered them. He used the wood from the plow to build a fire to roast their flesh. He passed around meat to the townspeople, and they all ate. Then he went with Elijah as his assistant. So this is a really random story. It's not one you probably hear about all the time. But if I had to give tonight's little conversation we're going to have tonight a title, I would call it Let It Burn. So I used to listen to Usher. Anybody y'all listen to Usher? Usher. And Usher had this breakup song that everybody was playing when they was ready to let it burn. It's like, I'm letting you go. And like the lines in the song is like, it's gonna burn for me to say this, but it's coming from my, it's like a whole verse of him. Oh, y'all know it. Yes, yes, yes. And he's like, I do, but you don't think it's best we go our separate ways. And what I love about this story is that it is that. It's that Elisha knew that it was time for him to walk into something new. And what I noticed in this story is that before Elisha makes the commitment, he says, wait, I need to go back. And there's some things that I got to take care of. I need to burn up anything that's left here that would cause me to walk away from where I'm about to walk into. And what I recognize about that is that sometimes in order to progress forward, you got to go back. Like, you got to go back. Like, I don't always like going back because sometimes I don't like revisiting what back means. Like, I don't. Like, for me, I'll tell y'all my business. There's been a lot of that happening this week. I don't know really why. But so I had to go back to Chicago. So I'm originally from Chicago. Usually when I go to Chicago, it's to visit my family. And it's very timed trips. It's like, I'm going to go for this amount of days, and then I'm going to get back on the plane, and I'm going to come back to California, because this is where I live now. The reason being is that I experienced some trauma before I moved from Chicago to California. And although I'm like healed from that, it's like something about going back just makes me remember. It's like I really remember like what I lost, because like going back there now is nothing like it was 4 or 5 years ago when I moved here. It's like I don't got the same friends, I can't do the same things, and every time I go back, if there isn't like a plan, I sit with that. And so wouldn't you know that the last time I went back, the Lord made me sit with it, because what he was letting me know is like, Brenda, there's some things that I need you to do in the future, but you got to go back. Part of going back is remembering what God brought me from. It's like, I was here, I remember the pain, I remember what it felt like, and then I can take a step over here in like the present and recognize that, look, I'm not the same person I was when I was there. I'm not the same person that I was, traveling through to get to the place that I am, which would help me go forward. It then helps me in my present moment recognize that, like, man, when it's tough and when I feel like I can't see the end from the beginning, then I can recognize, like, yo, but remember what he did back there? Like, remember what he did? Another thing is, like, there's some things that I had to go back to leave in that season. Because sometimes what we do is, in our bag, it's like, all right, Elijah says, come on, like he throws a cloak over him, which is essentially like, follow me, right? And then I love that Elisha didn't do what most of us do. Like we walk into a new thing, we're like, all right, let's go, And we're like picking up all the things. And what I wanted us to talk about today is like, what are the things that we need to let burn? And like, I'm gonna open up our little suitcase here and like, let's talk about some things that we could essentially carry with us into the new season. Because the reality is, like, it doesn't just affect your capacity, it affects how you show up in the season. Like, if I am in a rough season, or a season of sin, or a season that is beneath me and God's calling me higher, if I don't deal with the stuff that I need to deal here, guess what? When I go into this season, it's gonna show up. Like, it's gonna show up in how I treat people, it's gonna show up how I think about myself. Like, it'll show up. And the reality is, like, sometimes we got to go back so that we can uproot the things that this last season told us about ourselves, so that we can then root what God says about us and out of our lives produce that fruit of what God said about us, not what the situation is. Because sometimes what happens is we experience a thing in this season, and then that becomes the lens in which we view the rest of our lives. So if somebody betrayed me in this season and made me feel like I was worthless, when I go into this season, I'm taking that worthlessness and putting it into this season, which will cause me to experience or also live beneath who God called me to be, because I haven't dealt with that stuff. And sometimes we don't know how to deal with it. Like, we don't know what to do with it. Like, I'm brokenhearted, I'm hurt, and I run. Like, I never sit with it. I never talk. And in church, we haven't been taught that it's okay to tell God that you're angry. We haven't been taught that it's okay to say, I am depressed. That is the truth of the matter. That's the fact of the matter. The truth is that you're healed, but you got to sit with the fact first in order to be able to live and walk into your truth. And I know it's tough. Sometimes it challenges like the way that we think, because we feel like, man, like that's why so many people are disappointed with Jesus and walking away from the faith, because people haven't told them that it's okay to be honest. It's okay to say, today I don't got it. Like, I actually don't want to live anymore. Like, it's okay to acknowledge that, because if you don't invite Jesus into that space, how can he heal it? Like, he's a gentleman. He wants to be invited into it. Like, he's right there with you, but there's some, like, you, like, saying it out loud brings acknowledgement to who he is and what he can be to your situation. And so I just want to let y'all know that, like, it's okay to be honest. And so, like, let's talk about some things. Y'all can yell them out. Like, what are some things that you had to walk away from? Or what are some things that you didn't walk away from? Like, they came with you. Like, for me, someone challenged me on this today. Like, ooh, I'm really about to tell all my business. Like, ooh, Lord, he really be taking over. You just be like, hold on, we really about to say that? Okay, so I guess we really are about to say that. Okay, so a little bit like about my situation in Chicago. So, like, long story short, and I've told this before, so it's cool. Like, I was dating a guy, and I was working for a church, and I found out that the guy that I was dating was dating my pastor, like my male pastor. And I found out. Like, they didn't tell me. Like, I literally, like, next level, this is stream, but, like, on some, like, New York undercover, Brenda was, like, being a tech geek, and I don't even know tech stuff, like, found out. That's, like, how I found out. And so I found out, and there are, like, layers to my situation, right? So first it's, like, the initial shock of, like, what? And then it's like the other shock was like my pastor was like my spiritual father. Like I called him dad. Like I had keys to their house. Like took care of their kids, traveled with them. Very, very intimate relationship with my pastor. And the guy I was dating was like my best friend. We were friends for like 10 years. We used to go to an older church together, then we like were best friends and we started dating. And so like there are all these like layers of hurt and pain. And in the middle of that, I'm also leading a young adult ministry. I'm on staff at the church. I'm like serving the first lady who's also like my spiritual mom. Like we were like this. There are all of these layers to this stuff. So in actuality, what I had to do, like I was like suppressing stuff. Like I was packing it away in my suitcase. I was showing up to work every day. The Lord had to release me right away. So I'm like, knowing that this is going on and I'm traveling through all of this, it was like a lot happening. Like trying to keep it a secret because I don't want people to experience what I've experienced. Like just all of these layers. And I'm like pastoring people through my pain and my tragedy because I'm like, you still got to honor. Like teaching people, it was like this crazy situation, right? So I finally like get out of it, praise the Lord, and then I moved to California. The reality is all the layers of that stuff I told y'all about, I never dealt with it. It was just kind of like Jesus was taking me through this process of like forgiveness and learning his heart. And above all of that, he still wants me to heal. Like even though he wants me to learn his heart, he cares about mine. But I didn't realize all of that until I got to California, child, and it started showing up. It started showing up in ways I never thought it would. Like, I'm a completely, like, outgoing person. Like, if I meet people, I love to be around them. When I moved to California, absolutely not. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I would, like, go, I got my phone. I would go to parties, and I would, like, purposely be in my phone so I wouldn't have to talk to people. I went to a church, loved the church. I would sit on the front row because there was a door, like right by the front row, there was a door right there. So I was like, praise the Lord, out the door. Like I literally didn't want any connection to anybody because I didn't want to ever have to experience that level of pain again. So what I did was I walked into a new season carrying all the baggage of my past and my old, where God was trying to give me new. I couldn't even receive it or open it or be open to it because I had all of this stuff that I was carrying. Part of it was fear, and part of it was like, yo, I don't want to ever experience that again. And so I needed to like let it burn. Like I needed to let it go. And so part of like going back to Chicago last week was me being able to like sit with like, this is my home. Like this is a place that raised me. Like why does it have like this negative connotation, and like opening up and allowing the Lord to deal with that. And so I want to go to Isaiah 43 and 19. Sorry, y'all. Or maybe it's 18. So it says, forget about what's happened. Don't keep going over old history. Be alert. Be present. I'm about to do something brand new. The first part of that says, forget about what's happened. And so sometimes we think that means like not dealing with it. It's like, I forgive you, but I ain't gonna never forget. Y'all ever said that to somebody like, all right, you cool. Like I'm gonna let you live, but I ain't gonna never forget. You can't actually forgive somebody if you don't forget. Like, and I way easier said than done, right? But what I think that really means is like, don't like forget that it happened, but you almost kind of got to like forget how it made you feel. Because even if you forgive that person, when you walk up to them, like, and you remember all of those like pain and emotions, it goes into that. So you forgave a person, you're trying to like move into a relationship with them, but the moment they do something that reminds you of what they did to you the last time, you're like off the handle. Even if it's a person that ain't that person. Like if somebody else do something that mirrors this person, it's like, no, actually I'm good on you. I'm good on you. And then what if that person has what you need for the next part of your life, but because you haven't chosen to like deal with it, it's like, don't keep going over old history. Because what we do, I don't know about y'all, but when I'm mad, like I tell myself the story over and over again. Then I'm going to call somebody and I'm going to tell them it. And then I'm going to call somebody else and be like, hey, like, did you see, like, let me, and I mean, every time you tell it, you get more mad. Like, I don't know about you, but that's me. Especially if I didn't have the opportunity to address that person. Oh, know if Christina did something to me and I don't get to tell her, and then I tell Rylan, like, hey, would you believe Christina did this to me? And oh my God, like, would you believe? And then she had the nerve to because I'm expressive. So I got to get it out. But by the time I see Christina, if I've already told 5 people, I actually have nothing to say to her. Because in my mind, I've already cut her off. But those are like toxic habits that really come out. The root of it is like our feelings were hurt. And it's okay to acknowledge that. Like, it's okay to say, like, hey, that kind of hurt me. Like, what you did. And I'm going to tell you, I'm the kind of person, like, I don't want nobody to know that they hurt my feelings. So I feel like they got a leg up now. Now they recognize that they can hurt me. Like, when I was in high school, I used to be like, I don't have feelings. This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. But I used to be strong with it. Like, feelings? Who? Me? No. We don't have those. And like if I was dating a guy and he was cheating, I was like, I already knew you was cheating. I already was talking to him over there. Like, it don't even matter. Like, that is unhealthy. Like, if somebody hurt your feelings, tell them. Like, and it's okay. Like, we should, as believers, we should pursue like being in good standing with people, like right standing with people. Like, we should pursue that. Like, don't allow the pain of your past to destroy present moments or the future. Because that's what it will do. It's like, if I don't unpack this bag and deal with the stuff that's in it, I'm going to take it everywhere I go. So when it says be alert and be present, I can't do that because I'm seeing you through the lens of my past and my pain. And I'm going, oh, I come into a new space. It's a room full of people. Like, all of you guys are great people, and I should want to get to know you. But if I'm hanging on to my past, I'm seeing you like I saw them, and I don't even know you. Like, what is that? But if we don't unpack our bags and we steady trying to figure out how we can put it all in our bag and take it with us into the next season, we'll end up damaging people the way that we were damaged. Because that's usually what happens. Like, I judge the way this person mishandled me, and then I take on what they did, and I ended up doing that to people because I was so hurt and so broken. That's the reality. I'll help you with forgiveness because this helped me. Nobody will ever hurt you from a place of wholeness. If someone is hurting you, it's their brokenness that they're acting out of. So in that moment, that allows me to have empathy, like right away. Like, and it was the craziest thing. Like, in the situation I just told y'all about, I literally had empathy for them. I prayed for them every night because I recognized that there were some things that they were struggling with on the inside of them, and that's out of the place that they were hurting me and causing me harm. And to be honest, they probably didn't even recognize it until they found out I knew. And then it was like, oh, snap. And you know one thing that my old pastor said? He's like, you proved to me that Jesus is real. He said, because you never changed. And I didn't. Crazy to me, can't explain it to you. It's nothing but the Lord. Like, that's the Lord. But like, I also had to be in a place of like surrender, like every day. Like, I had to like turn off the world, and I was only talking to the Father because it was the only way that I would make it through every day. But I recognized that like, you just gotta you gotta unpack your stuff because you don't want to cause the pain that you've been through. But that's what we do. We like create cycles of like hurt and pain, especially anger, like all of that. And then the other side of that is like, it's like the things that were done to us, but it's also the things that we do. So like, you know, we're following Christ, and there's like some things we used to do that we may be left alone for a little while, but we keep like it's like God's calling us over here, and he's calling us a little higher. But I'm like, I still really like to do this thing, and I ain't even gonna call you out. Like, whatever your thing is, we all got one. And God's like, hey, I'm trying to like grow you up and take you a little deeper in me, and you still trying to hold on to this thing. Or you play over here with the Lord, and you go back to this thing. And then you play over here with the Lord, and then the moment he don't do what you think he should do when he should do it, you like, all right, I'm out, I'm over here. Like, whatever that is. And then you end up in like this little, like, back and forth, teeter-totter, like seesaw. Like, I'm high on the Lord over here, then I'm high over here. It's like whatever that thing is. And the reality is, like, you got to make a decision. It's like, do I want the Lord more, or do I want this thing? Or like what my flesh is craving for. Because that's what it is. And it's like at the end of the day, we got to get to a place where we say, like, Lord, I want you more than anything. Like, I want you more than the comfortability of my pain, because let me tell you, we could get comfortable there. We could get comfortable telling the story and people like feeling bad for us, and we stay in this place because it always gets us attention. Like, I always get a rise out of people because I haven't dealt with the brokenness that makes me feel unwanted and unchosen and like unloved. And so every time I tell the story, it gets people excited, and then they're like, oh my God, are you okay? Like, they want to, like, that's like that. It creates all of this stuff that like keeps you from being who God intended for you to be. Like, you're not a survivor, you're an overcomer. Like, we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. So the more you tell the story, you should overcome it. It shouldn't start to define you. That's not who you are. Like, your past is not who you are, but sometimes we find comfort in where we've been and we don't know how to navigate where we are or where God's trying to take us, but we gotta like let it burn. You gotta burn it up. I love that Elisha goes to Elijah and he says, hey, like, let me kiss my mother and my father, like, before I go. Because he recognized there's some things that could potentially distract me from where it is I need to go and where it is I need to be. So I got to, like, make sure I shut it all down. Like, I got to deal with it. Like, I got to say, Mom and Dad, I know you don't understand that, like, I want to travel or that I want to chase my dreams or that I want to do this thing, but I got to let you know I'm going to go anyway. Like, and then if there's, like, sometimes it's a job. Like, sometimes you transition jobs and then you keep going back to do other things, and you keep going back to like this thing where you were comfortable because there's a fear that like, I don't know if this is gonna really work out, so I need to have like a plan B or like C. And like, when you're following God, there's no backup plan. Like, his plan is the only one, and that really means that you don't really trust him if you gotta like have all these things like still waiting and still going with you. Like, you could trust him enough to like take a step and then be like, hey, I'm out here and I don't really know what we about to do, but I'm gonna like go with you. Like, I'm going to just go with you. And sometimes when we take on the lens of, like, all the stuff we've been through or the stuff that we did, like, it makes it hard for us to see God. Like, for example, if you struggled with relationship with your father, it's hard to see God as a father. Like, that stuff comes into our spiritual relationship. Like, if Dad always gave you promises and he never made them, it's hard to believe the promises of God because you like, I can't even really relate that to Father. Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, where's he been? Like, Lord, help me see. Let's go to, is it 1 Corinthians? The 1 Corinthians one. It says, we don't yet see things clearly. We've been squinting in a fog, peering through a mist. But it won't be long before the weather clears and the sun shines bright. We'll see it all then, and we'll see it all as clearly as God sees us, knowing him directly just as he knows us. So what happens when I clear out my back, and I like go to my past and deal with it and then turn from it, whatever it is? It was foggy at first because I was seeing it through all of the things that I experienced and how people treated me, and I'm like taking that's my vision. Like, I can't see it clearly. But then there'll come a day when I choose to deal with it, when I choose to leave it where it was, and I'll be able to see things clearly. And more importantly, I'll be able to see myself clearly. And then I'll be able to see the Father clearly because I've dealt with those things and I haven't allowed like fear to keep me from dealing with them. Because sometimes it hurts. Like, sometimes to like dig up that stuff and like go through all of it, it hurts. But the reality is when I have Jesus, it means I don't have to do it alone. It means like when I'm going through it and I'm like dealing with it, I invite him into that space so that he can deal with it. Like, it's not on you. Like, you in your human, like we, us, me, us, we can't deal with it ourselves. It's too much. Like, sometimes it's really weighty. Sometimes it gets really dark. But he's like, hey, I'm with you. And like, I got you. And I'll go with you in it. Like, when Elisha went back, like, Elijah threw a cloak on him. That's like a mantle. So Elisha was handled. He was anointed to handle what he was going back to. It gave him strength. It empowered him. Like, I know I'm going back and I know this is going to be tough. And I know to like burn it up and I know to like kiss it goodbye is going to take a lot out of me. But because I've been placed, like, it literally, go back to that scripture for me, because Elijah says, go back. But remember what I just done to you, which is the reality of what happens when we choose Jesus. It's that like Jesus anoints us and he gives us the Holy Spirit, which empowers us to deal with our pain. And it empowers us to deal with our past. And it empowers us to burn up relationships and ruin ties, like soul ties that we have with things, because the Holy Spirit empowers us. That's the only way Elisha could have said goodbye to everything he knew, everything he was comfortable in, like everything. It was like providing for him. It was also a place where that was his home. And he had the ability to burn up everything that would keep him from walking into this. It was the empowerment of the Spirit that was placed on him because of what God was calling him to. He equipped him for it, but he also equipped him and empowered him to be able to go back and let it burn. And I know, like, it's way easier said than done. But if you got to go back to some things and, light them on fire and kiss them goodbye, you don't have to do it alone. Like, Jesus is with you. And the reality is, like, he already handled it all on the cross. When I choose to say, okay, God, I'm going to go back and, follow you, it's me coming into the awareness of what he's already handled. It means that I can leave it at his feet and I can journey on through this life because, he got me. He got me. I don't have to do it alone. I'll keep locking my... All right, so let's do the last, Hebrews. Because of Christ, yes, all the things I once thought were so important are gone from my life. Compared to the high privilege of knowing Christ Jesus as my master firsthand, everything I once thought I had going for me is insignificant. It says dog dung. I've dumped it all in the trash so that I could embrace Christ and be embraced by him. I didn't want some petty, inferior brand of righteousness that comes from keeping a list of rules when I could get the robust kind that comes from trusting Christ, God's righteousness. I gave up all that inferior stuff so I could know Christ personally, experience his resurrection power, be a partner in his suffering, and go all the way with him to death itself. To walk away from things that are comfortable to us, that we love, but God's calling us out of them, is a death. It means I have to die to my flesh and what I want and how I think it should be. I gotta die to it. This literally says I let all of who I thought I was, bro, who I thought I was before I found Jesus, it didn't matter. In Jesus' presence, it doesn't matter no more. The coolest of the cool, none of that matters. I actually lay all of that down and I chose to follow Christ and embrace him. And what he offers me is more than anything I used to do, could do, would do, wanted to do. Anything, it's less than what he offers me. What he offers is enough. But I almost have to there's this trust thing we gotta get. I gotta be able to trust that what I'm walking away from, if he's asking me to walk away from it, then he has a better on the other side. Because let me help you. Everything that he asks you to walk away from ain't bad. It's not bad. But I love that this verse uses inferior, which means it is smaller than what he's offering. It might not be a bad thing. It might be a great thing. It might be the thing you always dreamed of. And he's burn it up. Let it burn. Not just the thing, but your desire for it. Because sometimes a good thing and a thing we love, the desire for that is overriding our desire for him. And he's you gotta let it burn. You gotta let it burn. And you gotta leave it there. Because what will happen is if I give it to you, you will forget about me. You ever said a prayer and was ooh, Jesus, if you let me do this, I promise. I'm going to go to church every week. I'm going to go to young adults. I'm going to pray every day. I'm going to do all this stuff. And in the moment you get it, you all right, Lord, I'll holler at you. Thank you for the job. You're out of here. Because you I already got what I need. I'm good. But let's switch that. What if you was talking to somebody, right? And they only hit you up when they needed something. How would that make you feel? I think it'll make you feel like a side chick. And that's sometimes what we be treating Jesus like, a side chick. We that. It's the person that gonna always be there, but they don't require a lot from you. They more whenever you need them, hit them up kind of thing. And Jesus is like that. Call me when you need me. He says that. He tells us to do that. But I think he desires a little more intimate relationship with you. He don't want to be a side chick in your life, which is why sometimes you gotta let it burn. Usher said, it's gonna burn for me to say this, but it gotta come from your heart. It gotta come from your heart. You gotta let it burn. And once you let that burn, like whatever that is, like whatever that is for you, like think about it. Like put it in your mind. Whatever that is for you, when you set that thing on fire, I pray that it ignites a fire in your heart for him. Like the way your heart was burning for that relationship, or the way your heart was burning for whatever that activity is that you do that you think nobody knows about, like that he sees you whenever you do it because he's right there with you. Like that changed my mind. You know, that changed my mind. Like you start talking about sex and you start talking about Jesus sitting there with you, I'm good. I am good until my husband comes, because Jesus, like this is a private moment. And I know you can see all, but I don't want you to see all of this. Like it changes things for me. I'm like, you're right. I'm going to wait, because I believe that with my husband, you're going to respect it. You're going to respect the privacy time. You're going to maybe like close your eyes or something. I don't know. But whatever you need to tell yourself, like you just got to like, yeah. Like, I don't even know what I was saying before that, because I took my own self out with that. It's like, what, Brenda? I don't know what happens. It's true. It's true. Jesus, thank you. Thank you when you said that. You triggered it for me. That thing that you be doing that you think he don't know you're doing, he's right there with you. He knows. And all of that, like, let it, like, man, like I'm in my own business, because there are some things I need to let burn too. Like, there are some things that I just got to leave them where they were. Like, leave them there, because it's hindering me from moving forward. Like, even though the perception is that I'm moving forward, it's still some things that I got to, like, I got to go back and say, hey, I'm coming, Lord. Like, we about to go to the next level, but I got to go handle this real fast. And some of us are, like, non-confrontational. We don't like to confront things. We like passive aggressive with it. No, you got to confront this. Like whatever that is. Like talk about it, write it in a journal, tell a friend. You got to confront it. Like some things you have to declare out of your mouth. Because some things are holding on tough. Because the enemy doesn't want you to make it to the next level. He doesn't want you to be all that you're supposed to be. He doesn't want you to see yourself the way that the Lord sees you. So he'll whisper a little bit of stuff. You got to kill that too. You got to be like, hey, no, I got authority over whatever this is, and you can't go. You can't go. You got to stay here. You can't go. No. You ever had like a little sibling or a little cousin, and they always want to go everywhere? It's like, I don't want to go. Like, no, stay here. You a kid. Go sit at the kids' table. No. I always couldn't wait till I could tell somebody to sit at the kids' table, because they always told me I had to sit at the kids' table. And I was a very adult thinker. Like, I should have been at the adult table. But you gotta, like, let that stuff go, y'all. Because some of us have, like, come into covenant with it, and it has become a part of us. And we're trying to figure out, like, why we keep going in circles. And we, like, make it to a place, but then it's like, it feels good for a moment, and then you recognize that, like, you feel the same way you felt when you was over there, and you like, I'm not even in the same place. Why does this keep coming up? It's because you haven't chosen to deal with whatever that is. And you think that because you left it there, it's just hanging out there. No, it's with you. And if it's the spirit, it's going with you and interrupting things. It says the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. Like, that's not always like cops and robbers steal. Like, it could be steal moments from you. Like moments where you could be enjoying them, but he's stealing them from you because he's reminding you of things. And like sometimes we see things and they not even like what was, but because we haven't dealt with that, it's showing up. And like, or it's spilling out. Because when somebody been hurt and they bitter, child, nobody wants to be around them. Like, because bitterness produces negativity, and they can't see anything pure in anything. It's just like, no. It's like, oh, I can't wait. You shouldn't do that. You suck. Like, first of all, who you talking to? Like, not, but it's no one would hurt you from a place of wholeness. It's their brokenness and their stuff that they haven't dealt with. And we all got stuff like that. That sometimes it shines a light. It's like, you ever seen like a movie and it's dark in a field and then that light hits and you're trying to hide because you don't want to be caught, because usually they're hiding in a cornfield, which makes no sense in a movie, but here we are. And they're like shining that light. But I want to challenge you tonight to shine that light on the inside of yourself. Like, what are some things that you need to let burn? Like, what are some things that, like, you need to let go? Like, what are some things that you, like, now I'm talking and you're like, oh, shoot, that's why I did that. Or, like, that's why I don't really feel comfortable in this place, is because I haven't really dealt with that. And let me tell you, it's not a fun thing to, like, journey through. Because when I had moved to California, I had moved to California. Like, I didn't want no parts of what happened in Chicago. And the moment I would, like, have what we would call, like, I don't want to call it like a breakdown, but like the moment something would show up, I would be mad at myself at the fact that I wasn't over it yet. I'm like, girl, if we cry one more time about this, like, no, let it, we over it. It's like, over it. We're not dealing with it no more. Like, And then, like, for relationship stuff, broken heart and relationship stuff, we trying to hop into the next thing. Because we're trying to we're trying to prove to the person, like, you know what you lost, you know what you did, like, I'm on to the next one. It's like, no, you on to hurt or damage the next one. Because you brought all your brokenness and your pain into this. And I understand it. I was ready. I was like, oh, you ain't want to choose me? Okay. I'm out here. And I'm out here living my life. And let me help you. It wasn't just with relationships. Like, every time I got, like, a step up in career, like, because I felt like that situation tried to break me. So every time, like, anything happened, a door opened, I'm trying to prove that I'm good. And that's wrong, because I really wasn't good. The fact that when I'm walking through a new door, I'm like, now what? See, you didn't get me. I'm over here flossing, like I'm shining. It's like, bro, no, you're not. You're broken. And you need to deal with that. Because the reality is, I started to, like, chase things so I could prove a point. Like, stuff I don't even have no business, like, it's not even for me. Like, girl, sit down and deal with your stuff. Which, on the flip side of that, when I first moved to California, I moved to LA, chasing dreams that I didn't really have a plan. So I'm, like, filling out job applications every day, and every time I don't get a call back, I'm mad at them again. Because I'm trying to figure out, like, Lord, why I have to start my life over? They the bogus ones. Like, why I gotta be out here struggling, sleeping on somebody's air mattress in the middle of their living room, and I gotta be up before people come up? Like, why? Like, because I ain't do nothing, but I had to start my entire life over. Now I'm bitter, and I'm angry, and mad as ever. Because I'm like, I don't deserve this. But then I had to have a perspective change. Like, when I go back and I, like, burn stuff, because I'm not even, like, a person that gets mad, but, child, those couple of months, I was, like, mad. Like, and taking it all, like, how I lived in a house full of girls and we were all roommates, and I would, like, one little moment, I was off the roof, like, it was bad. I'm, like, talking to my therapist, I'm like, I'm angry. And she's like, why you mad? Therapists know how to, like, press the button. What you mean why I'm mad? Why are you not mad? Like, and she's like, what makes you angry? I'm like, I don't want to talk about this. Like, I just want to talk about the fact that I'm mad. And you should do something about it. I don't know what you can do, but, like, I'm mad. And she's like, but why? And then she says, what are your expectations? Do you really want to know? Like, I really want to go set it off. What you mean? What are my expectations? Like, I really want to, like, figure out why when I was, because, you know, like, when you choose the Lord's way and then you get out of it, then you be like, why did I choose the Lord's way? Like, why didn't I let them have it like I wanted to let them have it? Like, because I really could have let them have it. Like, I could have talked about let it burn. I could have burned some stuff up. But I chose the Lord, which is what I'm the most happy about. But in the moment of, like, the pain and, like, going back through that stuff, I had a lot of stuff to talk to the Lord about, because I feel like, hey, I serve you, like, with my life. And I'm trying to figure out why this is happening to me. But we just read a scripture that says, when I choose to embrace him, I embrace all parts of him, his resurrection and his death. There were some things in me that had to die that would not have died had I not journeyed through that situation. There were some parts of me that needed to be, like, done for. And there were some other parts of me that I needed to be able to discover. Full, like complete transparent moment. Had that not happened to me, I would not be standing here talking to y'all. It is the honest to God truth. I never, like my dad is a pastor, my mama is a pastor. I grew up in church since I was like 4 years old. I didn't want no parts of it. And then I ended up working at a church and I was like, Lord, what are we doing? Like, I said no. Like, didn't work. But what I'm saying is like, there are some things that we have to journey through, like that awaken who we really are, which we never would have saw had we not experienced that level of pain or that level of disappointment. After that moment, I stopped speaking. Like this is only the grace of God. Like the fact that I'm up here, because I literally like went into like a little, I call it a cubby hole. Like when I'm like sad, kind of a little depressed, and I don't want to talk about people, it's like I want to go in like a cubby hole. Like I don't want nobody to talk to me. I like stay in my house for days, don't answer the phone. Like it's a cubby hole. And I actually started to live in a cubby hole. Like, I like to dress, like, again now, but I was, like, not dressing. I was getting dressed, but I just, like, didn't care. I didn't want anything that would cause attention to me, that would cause people to talk to me, that want to be my friend. Like, I didn't want any of that. Like, literally, it crushed me. But out of it, the person that came, like, the person that could stand up here confidently and, like, talk to y'all and tell y'all all my business without, like, crying, because I used to, like, tell the story and be like hyperventilate. Like it would feel like I was living it all over again. But that comes from like going back. Elisha says, yeah, I'm coming, Elijah, but there's some stuff I gotta do. And that, it took a journey of doing that. Like a journey of, let's go deal with that. Something else shows up. Let's go deal with that. Journey, let's go back. That means it's still there. It's something like, and then it becomes like a prayer, like, Lord, uproot anything. Like, because when somebody breaks your heart, that was my first time I ever experienced a heartbreak. It hurts. It hurts. And then if you allow the enemy to speak to you more than listening to the voice of God, he'll tell you a lot of lies that you adopt as truth and start living out of. And that is a problem. So you gotta like let it burn. Come on, Rylan. So I hope, guys, that some of this helped you. I had all these things. I think the Lord really do not want me to use illustrations. I think he said, no, girl, it don't work. But some of the stuff that, you know, we pack, it's like doubt, hatred, betrayal. Breakup. I was in my life, huh? I'm gonna just throw them. Loneliness. Nobody understands. Like usually when we experience things that hurt us, we feel like nobody can understand like what we've been through, where we've been, how it made us feel. Like loneliness, which then leads to depression. One thing I started to learn and understand about depression is that it's rooted in pride, which to a person who experiences depression can feel very like aggressive, like insensitive. But I struggled with depression before, a lot, really bad. And usually like my birthday's in 2 weeks, usually around my birthday, I have a moment of depression, like a low one, because I'm like a reflector. So I'm about to turn a new age, and I start thinking about, child, I'm about to be 31, where am I at in life? You know, where I'm not where I thought I would be, you know? Like, so that, it brings moments of depression, but the reason I say it's rooted in pride, because it's very inward facing. It's about how you feel and what's going on with you. And it's literally you turning yourself inward and focusing on you. And the reason it hurts so bad is because Jesus is not involved in that. You haven't asked him to speak to it. You haven't brought him into it. I literally had a moment. I laid in the bed for a week straight. Like, I'm done with this. Like, I actually don't have anything to live for. Just laying here. In LA, living in a house with 5 girls, no job. Like, I was 8 months in, Like, you told me to come here, and I'm just out here. Then I'm on Instagram, seeing people who caused me a little hurt living their best life. I got a problem with that. Inward facing. Not one of those complaints invited him into my space and asked him for his perspective of it. Because, yeah, that breakup hurt, but maybe that person was not for you. And if God allowed them to leave or he allowed that to happen, there's a purpose and a reason for it. And now it's always like, Lord, give me your perspective of everything, even my pain. Because if you're all knowing, if you give me your perspective from it, I can see it right. Like, because usually we see it from down here. And it's like, through this, I can't see Jesus. Through all this stuff, my vision is blurred. It's skewed. I can't see it. But when I ask him for his perspective, he brings me above it and up out of it. And then I can see, okay, if I would have done this, that probably wouldn't have been good. Or when I was in that relationship, that person became my God, and I forgot I had one. Because that happens often for us. So what I want to challenge you to do tonight is, like, when you think about the things that you're letting it burn, if it's past hurt and pain, ask God to give you his perspective of it. Because it'll shift how you see it. That part in my life, I entitle it My Journey to God's Heart. Because I learned how he loves us. Like, we do him wrong, and he shows up every time. He doesn't change the way he loves us, and he doesn't change the way he sees us, no matter what we do to him. And we treat him bad often. We treat him bad. And I learned his heart because God gave me the ability to love those people every day. I still love them today. If they called me right now, I would pick up the phone and act as if nothing happened because I learned his heart. And that's God's heart towards me. I don't deserve his love. There's nothing I could do or be to even earn it. And yet he still loves me. So how dare I not allow a person who hurt me out of their brokenness another chance to just love me or offer up a relationship. Now, if it was unhealthy, you got to be careful with that because everybody they're not earned a piece of you. Like, and you got to guard it. You got to use wisdom. But even if you keep them at a distance, don't do it from a place of bitterness or anger or hurt. It needs to be from a place of love. Like, I love you so much, but I don't think like this relationship is for us this season. But I love you and I'll pray for you. I'm telling you, when you can pray for a person that hurt you, you have journeyed through something. Because prayer is the only thing that will change a person, help a person, heal a person, make sure a person's good. And if I can offer you a moment of my prayers, I care about you. Because I'm praying for you. And not no little like, Lord, get them. Like, not those kind of prayers. Because sometimes we get it a little confused. We like, Lord, on their heads. Like, on their heads. Which he is that kind of God too. But if I can pray and say, Lord, have mercy. Like, I know what they did to me was terrible, but Lord, have mercy on them. Like, heal their hearts. Like, the pain, like, because a lot of what happened, like, it could bring, like, shame and, like, suicidal thoughts and, like, send them into a spiral of all of those things. And I prayed for them. I still pray for them because I do a lot of talking about this. And I'm like, Lord, I don't want me sharing my story to help someone else hurt them. So, like, I pray for them. And that is out of genuine love. Like, if they called today, I would answer the phone. Like, I love them and want nothing but the best for them. That is my genuine heart. It takes a moment to get there because that means I had to let the pain and the hurt and the disappointment, I had to let it burn. And now I can say, all right, I can follow you, God, with a pure heart. Because if you don't deal with it, everything you do after that moment becomes about that moment. It becomes about proving that moment wrong. It comes about proving that, like, you're better and you good and you're not. Like, deal with your stuff so you can really be good. So I helped you with some things, like, but get some things on your mind that you need to burn. And, like, even if your struggle is a sin, like that too. Sin is simply missing the mark. Like, it's like we make it, like, it is a big thing, but it's missing the mark. It could be whatever. It could be God said do something and you didn't do it. That is sin. It's not just like actions. It's missing the mark. It's like God gave me this as a target and I missed it. That is sin. Anything outside of what he told you to do. And you got to let that burn too. Habits, all of that, because it's keeping you from living where God has called you to be, and no more, not after today. And so I'm going to actually have the team come up, and you guys can like stand up here. And if you feel like there's some things, that you want to let burn, like let's pray. Specifically, I'm going to call for, like, if you struggle with anxiety, like I want to pray for you tonight. If you feel like, if your heart has been broken and you feel like, man, I'm really trying to move on, but it hurts so much, I want to pray for you too. Like, let's go. Like, let's take a step of authority over the enemy and the lies that he's been feeding you. Like, your life is worth living and you are loved. I remember feeling unloved and not like he didn't choose me. That's tough. That's tough. It hurts. But there is a man who always chooses you. And he always chooses you first. And his name is Jesus. Like, he thought you were so bomb, he thought you were to die for, because he gave up his life for you. And he loves you that much. And he loves you so much that he created this moment just for you. And so if that's you and you feel like, man, I want to let it go. Because let's talk about unforgiveness. Unforgiveness is like chewing a piece of glass and hoping that it hurts the other person. Forgiveness is for you, not them. Because it holds you in the moment that caused you pain. If you don't let it go, you will forever be stuck in that moment. You got to let it go. And I'm telling you, how you know you let it go and you over it, you can pray for them, genuinely want the best for them, even though they cause you hurt and pain. You got to forgive. Unforgiveness causes all kind of diseases. If you talk to people who struggle with arthritis and stuff like that, if you keep talking to them back pains and stuff, it starts to show up. Unforgiveness takes over your cells and your nervous systems, because you're holding all of that stuff and it gets within your body and causes this cycle. It's again like eating glass and hoping that it hurts the person that hurt you. You're the one eating the glass and it's cutting you.